you've ever struggled with procrastination, lack of direction, or just feeling overwhelmed with everything you have to do as a business owner, then today's episode is for you. There is something that can truly change the game for you as a business owner, which is accountability. And I'm going to share with you why accountability can truly shift the needle for you as a business owner. So make sure you stick around. Before I dive into today's episode, I wanted to remind you about the Business Breakthrough Roadshow that is currently underway here in Australia. I am doing a 5-city tour where I am spending a full-day workshop taking you through both strategic ways that you can change the needle for yourself as a business owner, but also we're doing a ton of exercises around mindset and energetics. I've already run the Brisbane workshop at the time of recording, and it was a huge success, getting feedback from people that it was a ton of fun. They got to meet some really cool people, and a lot of people said they had some huge ahas that are really going to change the game for them in business in the year 2025. Next stops on the roadshow are Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and Perth. So if you can make it to one of these shows, please go and click on the link in the show notes for today's episode, and let's spend a day together in real life, hanging out, working on your business. The tickets are only 49 Australian dollars, so I hope to see you there. Now, coming back to today's episode of the podcast, let's start with the basics. What exactly is accountability? Accountability is the act of being answerable to someone else for your actions, commitments, or progress. So essentially what you do when you set yourself a goal or write yourself some actions, when you have accountability, it means that you have someone else to check in with to see if you followed through. And in the context of business, accountability is going beyond doing what you say you'll do. It's actually about having a plan in place and having a system to ensure that you actually stay on track. It might sound really simple in theory, and if you can actually do this effectively, it's going to be a complete game changer for you as an entrepreneur. So let's work out why exactly this is. As a business owner, you wear a ton of hats. You're the CEO, you're the marketer, you're doing client work, you're looking at your finances. There's a lot going on. And with all of these different roles to juggle, what can happen is that things slip through the cracks. I'm sure you've had this experience. I know that I have, where there are tasks that are important, but they get pushed aside for the things that are urgent. So if you're in crisis mode, if you're busy putting out the fires, even if there are things that are very important, you are not actually getting to them. An example of this, you might think, I know I need to get my Facebook ads up and running. I know I need to hire that new team member to help take some of the workload off my plate. But you just don't have the time to actually get to it. And let's be honest, self-motivation doesn't always cut it. We've all had those days where our to-do list feels a mile long, and yet somehow we end up scrolling Instagram Reels. Anyone else? Or we end up binge watching Netflix. If anyone else has been addicted to the ultimatum like I have, you'll know what I'm talking about. We know we need to do these things. We know how important it is, but our drive just isn't there. And this is where accountability comes in. Having someone to answer to, whether it's a mentor, a biz friend, or even a group, what it does, it creates a layer of responsibility that drives you to show up. And what's the reason for that? Ironically, we are a lot more likely to let ourselves down, but we don't want to let other people down, whether it's your team, your coach, or your community. So what accountability does, if you know that you're going to be embarrassed that you haven't done the thing that you said that you would do. It empowers you to prioritize action on the important things. It actually makes your actions more tangible, because when you have that deadline and you know you have to report back to someone else, you're far more likely to put in the effort to meet that deadline. There's basically a sense of obligation. And when you pair that with the support and encouragement that you get from someone else, it really pushes you through those moments when your motivation is low. Now, as a coach, I mean, this is basically exactly what I do. But accountability doesn't have to look the same for everyone. There are many forms that it can take. So you might have an accountability partner, which is where there's someone that you check in with regularly. It might be daily, weekly, monthly. But basically what you do is that you share your progress with someone else and you talk about the roadblocks that you're facing. And that person will hold you accountable and make sure that you are following through on your promises to yourself. Another way that accountability can work is inside a mastermind group. And I am so excited that I am launching a new accountability container myself at the moment. If you want to find out more about it, send me a DM. But basically, a mastermind group is a collective of entrepreneurs, of business owners who are usually at the same stage of business. And inside the mastermind container, what you do is you hold each other accountable to action. It's like having a whole support system of people who are invested in your success. The cool thing about a mastermind is that it's not just answering to like your coach to one person. You're actually almost accountable to a whole group. So if you said, yeah, I'm going to do that thing, I'm going to make that call, I'm going to reach out to that client, and you have to show up to the next call and you're like, yeah, I didn't do it again. It makes you feel a bit crappy. And that discomfort is actually where the change starts to happen. Peer pressure is actually a really positive motivator in actually getting you to step up and achieve your goals. As I mentioned before, another form that this can take is coaching or mentorship. And again, working with a coach provides a really unique level of accountability, because coaches offer that one-to-one support. And I know for me, when I'm working with my clients, if they haven't done the things, I'm like, what's going on for you? You told me this was important for you. They'll have all the excuses in the world. I'm like, hey, this was your goal. This was your action that you wanted to achieve. You told me the deadline on it. So I really help them to understand the mindset, the psychology of why they're resisting the action. Coaches are results oriented. Like, my success is when my clients succeed. So I obviously want them to do the things to get the outcomes. And I assume that most coaches are the same. And this is why coaching or mentorship is another really effective way in helping you to change the game when it comes to actually getting things done. And the last way that I wanted to share with you, which is something I use myself a lot, which is public accountability. Public accountability is surprisingly effective. So essentially what you do is you publicly announce your goals to your audience or friends or whatever it might be. So this is how I use this tool for me. I will come out and I'll tell my audience, I'll just do a post and I'll say, I'm kicking off a roadshow from next month. I'll be honest, when I first announced that, I had actually no idea the dates, where I was going, what it was going to look like. But what I did, I put it out there, and then I felt this sense of responsibility to deliver what I said that I would. I really don't want to let my audience, my community down. So guess what? I do the things that I say that I'm going to do. Public accountability is a great way of getting your audience, people in your world, invested in seeing you succeed. And the thought of us letting others down is often a great motivator to keep us going, even when we feel like quitting. The benefits of accountability in your business are huge. You are going to have increased productivity. If you are neurodivergent and you're someone who likes to leave things till the last minute, till the deadline is super, super urgent, guess what? If you've got accountability, you're going to do the things at the very last minute, but at least they get done. You're going to be less likely to get distracted or procrastinate because you know that you've got to deliver. When you have these goals, you are going to have a clear roadmap of what to focus on. You're not just spinning wheels. Like I have days where I'm like checking that, logging into my social media, check my emails. I'm so distracted. When I know that I've got to do something, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm recording this podcast on a Sunday night. This is coming out on Tuesday. This is the last possible chance I have to record this episode. And so guess what? I've got clear focus. I wrote the content. I'm like, okay, I need to sit down and record it because if I don't, I'm not going to deliver on my promise to share a podcast episode every week. I get super focused when I've got something I need to do. Another thing that you'll find is that you actually make decisions faster when you have to. If you've got an accountability community, a coach, a accountability partner, you know, a lot of times we're like, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out whether I'm going to do a roadshow, where I'm going to go. If you've got someone like, where are you going? You need to announce this, tell everyone, make a decision, make a commitment. When you have that sense of accountability, you are actually going to make decisions faster. And actually, as much as that might not sound like a good thing, that's actually a great thing because you're actually moving forward. The next thing that you'll find is that when you have that level of accountability, you're going to have a lot more consistency about the way that you show up. For my clients, my one-on-one clients, I write out their actions, and it's the first thing we do is we celebrate wins. And the second thing, I'm like, how are you tracking? How are you going on the things that you said that you were going to do? And the more that you start to do the things that you say you're going to do, the more consistent your results are going to be. These habits are ultimately what leads to long-term success. And the beauty of all of this is that you are going to feel so much more, obviously successful, you'll be achieving more, but you'll feel so much more confident, you'll have so much more clarity. Your self-esteem grows when you are actually doing the things that you say you're going to do. It builds your confidence, and when your confidence grows, your business grows. So how do you actually implement accountability into your business? Well, here's what I would recommend. Find yourself your accountability strategy. Are you going to hire a coach? Are you going to join a mastermind? Are you going to get an accountability buddy? My new container that I am launching is an amazing example of literally all of these things rolled into one. Inside this collective, you get the benefit of working with a coach, me, and you also have this high-level community of business owners who are all wanting to achieve and do really big things. And you also get matched with an accountability buddy inside. And it's not just some random accountability buddy. It's not your mom going, hey, did you do the things? This is someone who is at a similar stage of business to you. And they're going to have the tools that I teach inside the container that says, hey, here's how you make sure that people are actually doing the things that they say they're going to do. So if you want to find out more about this container, about the collective, send me a DM, keep an eye on my socials, my email list, because I'll be sharing more about this. But if that container is not the right fit for you, I really want you to start to think about, how am I going to find accountability? If you've got big goals, which I know you do, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. If you're here to do big things on this planet, you need to make sure that you're actually doing the important things that shift the needle towards those goals. So get yourself some accountability, because the magic of accountability is so very real. And when harnessed correctly, it can completely transform the way that you do business and the speed at which you achieve your results. Just going to drop it in one more time. If you do want to come and spend a day with me in person, having a ton of fun, meeting some cool new biz friends, learning about the power of mindset, energetics, and of course strategy, then make sure you check out the Business Breakthrough Roadshow. Even if you're outside Australia, Do you know what? I reckon it's worthwhile flying in for it. Big call, I know, but we did have some epic ahas and breakthrough moments on our first session this week. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of the podcast, and I cannot wait to chat to you again next week. And don't forget, make sure you stay accountable, because that is where the magic happens.